I might not post this one because it's raw, a little too raw. The paradox, the experimental paradox of life itself, the grand experiment of the darkening of the solar system, meaning the solar system is coming out of a time and it's in a threshold of a particular type of quote unquote confusion and ignorance, end quote, not good, not bad, just less pure spirituality. And within less pure spirituality, that's the hard pill. It's the experiment, it's the contrast. No matter how we feel, emotions are just one part of it. We could feel anything: sour, bitter, rage, vengeance, all of it. It's all there, all the emotions are there. But the emotions, they're the byproduct of how we're coming out of a bigger creation and where we've landed. So I'm not devalidating emotions. I'm just saying the emotions are not all of it. I'm not dismissing your emotions. The emotions are just one piece of it. It's a byproduct of a bigger narrative. And how the quote unquote, this physical solar system, end quote, fell from the grace of, quote unquote, the Most High, end quote. That experiment and experience was needed for a different type of contrast. That contrast was needed to see everything, how everything else could be possible. The essence of differentiation, right? Differentiation meaning differentiation is needed because the sameness, it could have its own plateau, right? Like too much, say a hypothetical example here is say there is a universal God, right? And that universal God is in a place where he's experiencing infinite pleasure, joy, and bliss, however he's doing it, just hypothetically speaking. And within that, somewhere along the lines it was out of control, more or less, with it. So to gauge it and to quote unquote control it, end quote, he needed to situate the physical creations to be in a contrasting energy so a different balance for different thresholds could occur, right? Because all of this information media shit, all of it, even the physical galaxy stuff, it's still some context of ignorance because they're in their own particular polarizations, and they don't know what true subjective non-duality is to individual non-duality. And the individual non-duality is how you lost that non-duality and you forgot it and you're just totally oblivious to it, but it's still there because anybody could say anything. They could say, for example, it's not who's doing this, just for a casual example, it's what's doing this. Even that is flawed because that's still some example and it's some setting of a duality, of a polarization. Before that polarized concept, they were together. The who and the what were together. It's a different non-duality. So if someone could say they're the creator of this and somehow their creation got sabotaged, then that's not necessarily accurate because the true original creator is undying. And I'm still, and this is just for my own balance and non-duality, and I'm upholding and I'm going towards the best balance, because the paradox of the 3D is energetically within the contrast of this physical solar system, the quote unquote the quote unquote energetic beta beings, they're in control. And even if you think you're alpha, energetically, that's not correct, because you're under the hypnosis of a beta hypnosis energy within the contrast of the paradoxical experiment. You're just in like some type of fragmented subsidiary of a mental GMO condition, mental program that you're not even aware of, that you're just conforming and latching on to the concept of alpha, when energetically and spiritually that's not accurate at all, because you're under the hypnosis of a beta. So the paradox. And then let the energies go on, let the energies carry on. But that's the paradox of this whole. And I'm not targeting anybody. I'm just saying, if the shoe fits, then lace up type of shit. I'm not saying this is you, this is you, this is you. It could or it couldn't be. You be the judge if it is or isn't. I'm not saying this is you. I'm saying this is the allegory of the energies. This is the coloring of the energies themselves. We're in a contrasting solar system where on a contrast paradoxical experimental level, the confusion is the main theme. The less purity is the main theme. And as that less purity is the main theme, we're under the energy mentalities of lesser spirituality, right? So within the lesser spirituality, that's running the show. That's the main program. And the threshold that we're in from here till whenever it caps off, I guess here from 2,000 years to the future from now, most respectively, just on a different organization tip, it's kind of a reaccumulation and a recuperation of of regaining, barely restarting over, particularly for pure spirituality, perhaps on a 50-50 level, if the collective masses could so choose to want to do that, So it's up to the collective masses and attention to do that. And all the countries and all the leaders, they have a chance to reset, Because I get how everything works, different quote unquote CEOs, neutrally saying it, they could put their own, and within their own levels of the background denominations and subsidiaries and rankings and whatnot, they could put, if they're allowed from their higher ups, because they have higher ups, because the whole depiction and perception of how we're perceiving the hierarchy, it's inaccurate. But depending on their rank, they could put a halt to this, because how the whole entertainment industry works is they want to have a say, they want to have some type of control, how the merch gets regulated, how the tickets get regulated, how the touring gets regulated, how all of that shit gets regulated. Like if there's a new big star, an entertainment star, certain CEOs are going to want to have some type of control based on their ranking. So this is literally the #1 intelligence ever. And it's mature neutrality, and it's mature neutrality because it's the most direct shit. Literally on the perfect comparison tip, no one is above this fucking shit, no matter even if they say it. And I'm like I've been ready for the last 8 years, and that's just what it is. And we're on the threshold of barely coming out of the experimental paradox, where these quote unquote, these mentally inaccurate, disinformative, quote unquote alphas, end quote, are under beta hypnosis GMO mental programmings, which on an overall energy level, they're not alpha. So since they're not alpha, it's because they're under, because the whole globe, the whole planet Earth, the whole dynamic of the planet Earth is the lesser beings are in control. That's the point. The lesser beings need to be in control, because that's the contrast of the experiment of the solar system. So since it's the contrast of the experiment of the solar system, certain beings, they need the control because God is so raw with it. He's giving them a chance to catch up to God's shit, And this is like This is going on 9 years quality, like coming February or March, you know, on the underground tip. This is 9 years of this, like the same quality, me like standing up for this shit, same condition of my life, you know, it being what it is, you know, getting prejudiced, you know, getting people like having their own like insecurities against me and them, you know, docking me and hexing me however they did, because everything is known on some other shit, you know. It's all known, like this whole this whole international data trading, it's been known, and the national leaders in the present moment, they're barely catching up to this shit. This shit has been popping since 2016 to 2012. Like this real advanced shit, and like the 2024 shit, it's really nothing new. It's like, if it's new to you, like, then it's new to you. But it's been the same shit the whole time, you know? So the paradox of this experiment is the quote unquote lesser beings, they need the control, and they are in control more or less upon this transiting threshold of ages. They need to be in control because that's how God is balancing some other fucking shit, you know? They need it, you know? And I'm not directly saying it to anybody, you know? I'm just saying, if the shoe fits, then lace up. But like, they need it because in some spiritual level, they need to catch up to some other shit, you know? They need to catch up to their soul growth, their big fucking soul path. Because if there's like some material being that just has a desire and addiction to want more energy or more whatever the fuck they want, there's still some type of fucking energy work that needs to be fucking put in. Duh. So since there's still some type of energy work, they're subservient to a higher universal energetic power. Duh. So what does that mean? So who's really like in quote unquote control, end quote? Someone like gung-ho to just like, it's not what you do, it's how you do it on like a deep ass way, first of all, because nothing's necessarily bad, but things are what they are. And like, obviously God's having different tests for us. Can we rise back up when someone offends you? Can we rise back up when someone hurts you? You know, no one's exempt from this shit. So all of this news, because I've been studying this shit even before my quality like presentations for the last 8 years. I've been studying it for like, you know, like going on 14 now, right? So going on 14 plus or whatever. Like it's already like the download has been like, you know, being grounded in its own outlet, you know? So like all of this shit that's like coming out in the news, nothing is really fucking new in so many different ways, you know? So the paradox of the solar system, we're on a transiting threshold, and within that transiting threshold, it's up to the individual subjective person, maybe you, to clarify the understanding for your own sake, because no one really knows what individual subjective non-duality is. Individual subjective non-duality is subject to you yourself in God's non-duality, not just you fucking hearing about non-duality for a little bit and now you could latch onto it and try to capitalize off some shit. Sure you could, you know, because that's the great mystery and paradox of non-duality, right? But like how you're using the non-duality, it's going to be tested in so many different ways we can't even fathom, because God's non-duality is greater than everybody's non-duality. Because like honestly, like I've heard it all low key and on a subconscious level, and like everything I've ever said, the subconscious did it for a reason. How it was said, the subconscious did it for a reason. And I'm not explaining myself to like try to save face. No, I'm explaining myself for my own clarity and my own visceral sphere, environment, landscape of clarity. That's why I'm doing it. I'm not I'm explaining it for a certain reason, you know. I'm not explaining it to like, you know, save face. No, I'm just like, if you wanna peep the clarity, you can peep the clarity, and if you don't peep the clarity, then there's some type of GMO program working within you, you know. There's some type of, you have a unique opposition to pure spirituality in the universe that you're working against. And how we're simultaneously working against it and working for it That's how the universe is bringing us towards the unique future. That's how God is positioning us with the collective Rahu and the individual Rahu. Because in the end, like your fate and your future is Rahu is detailing your relationships with, you know, the quote unquote gods, end quote, because that's Rahu's responsibility, is the future fate of how the technology is getting organized with the sentient beings. So this is literally number one. Nothing is missed. No stone will go unturned, most accurately. And if anybody is claiming anything, you have to question their accuracy of it. And obviously the tolerance is there. And obviously, you can continue to shit on God however you want. And I'm not claiming to be anything. I'm speaking about it energetically. You can continue to shit on God however you want. Good luck with that. Have a fun fucking life with that, you know? And it still stands, you know? It still stands. So like so one point I just really want to drive home is like, we're not necessarily peeping the particular collective changes. And the particular collective changes is to go towards the future. We need to know how the past was a thing, you know, how the past was working. Because if we don't know how the past was working, then our individual patterns of how we move forward in life, it will be flawed. It will be absent of knowledge. So in the past, things were working in such a way where the quote unquote lesser material spirits, end quote, they were in charge, because in the 4 different yugas, this recent yuga of the quote unquote Kali, and obviously there's underground podcasts that could clarify any question you have, you know, it's there. That's how the solar system was arranged for the contrast of the universe to be balanced. Thank you very much.